Welcome into the fourth playoff preview. Wheaton Warrenville South, defending 7A state champs, 9-0. And Riley O'Toole, Mr. Seals, is nearly flawless. I say nearly flawless because he does have one interception.
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of touchdowns.
Yeah. 29 touchdowns will make up for that one pick. That's the quarterback I would like to have on my team.
Yeah, we've talked about Wheaton South. I think I'm a honorary resident.
You've been to so many games.
I think they're sending me an honorary degree from Wheaton South because I've been there 3 times for a third of their games, and they just are relentless. I would think that eventually there might be some complacency. They're beating everyone so big that eventually they'd sleepwalk through a half. Someone would punch them in the mouth, and they'd have to win one by a low number like 2 touchdowns.
Yeah,
not 5 touchdowns. But it really hasn't happened. The funny thing is, their closest game of the year was their opener at Hinsdale Central, who didn't even make the playoffs. 28-7. Since then, they've scored 44 points, 49, 38, 41, 42, 55, 49, 42. And the most they've given up is 14. So not only is the offense prolific, but because how good it is, the defense, who hasn't allowed more than 2 touchdowns, is getting like no pub.
No. Well, when you have a quarterback like that, that's like that's like the Peyton Manning. So when the defense does get the chance to go out there, they can really put balls to the wall and play as hard as they can because their offense is sustaining drives and going for touchdowns and everything like that. So the defense, that's what they love. That's the best defense you can have, is a great offense.
Yeah, and the defense not only gets rested, but they can get themselves fired up to say, okay, guys, the offense is doing it. Let's hold up our end of the bargain. They have been. But O'Toole, so many weapons. I mean, Matt Rogers sort of gets lost because, they pass. But then at the end of every game, Matt Rogers got 80, 90, 100 yards rushing.
Oh, yeah. But when you have, wide receivers like Titus Davis, Travis Kern, who's been coming up lately in the last couple games, as a previous running back, I love that. You want to be able to have people on your team who can get that, 50, 60 yard touchdown pass and make it easier for you, because when they're starting to focus on them, those holes get bigger and bigger. So, Matt Rogers is loving the offensive weapons he has on the side of the ball.
Yeah. And you mentioned Travis Kern. I think, Kern, big tight end, number 99, those guys, if those guys really emerge and are playing their A game in the playoffs, I think this offense is unstoppable.
You think it's going to roll all the way through?
Because Davis emerged early, and everyone was like, "Oh, we gotta take Davis out of the game. Take him away from O'Toole." But O'Toole's so good that he finds the other guys. Mm-hmm. And if teams say we got to double Davis, they're going to get killed by Rogers and Kern and all the other secondary receivers. And then if they decide, well, we can't double Davis because of all these other guys, Davis is going to kill him.
Yeah.
I just think this is a lethal combination. We talked about it in the Lincoln Way East preview. I think this is a tough quadrant, but I really don't see, unless something unforeseen happens, some injuries, or Riley O'Toole suddenly triples his season interception total.
Yeah.
I don't see Wheaton South not at least making it to the semis with the possible East St. Louis rematch from last year's semifinal.
And that's the thing with Wheaton South going through the season. I didn't think I was going to see any undefeated team in the DVC, and I thought I was like, oh, okay, somebody's going to really give them a run. Yeah. But they haven't. Yeah. They haven't been met yet. And so that's when it starts to get scary. If they just really run through all these teams, then the next question becomes like, how good is this team really?
Right.
They didn't get any competition throughout the year, even in the playoffs to go all the way. But there's several teams on their side of the bracket that are saying, oh, we can give them much go. And one of them is right down the street, is Glenbard West.
Yeah, possible. You have Wheaton North beat Marion Catholic, so a possible rematch there. We've talked about how tough it is to beat a team twice in the same season. So that would certainly be an interesting game, even though that game would be at Wheaton South. And yeah, I mean, Glenbard West, you got them going out in the first round upset, but just with the history, I would think that if Glenbard West made it to the quarters, they'd play Wheaton South tougher than those other teams because of all the extra motivation and just the familiarity, knowing what hurt them in the state title game last year.
These kids have been playing each other since young at the Bill George League, because that's what we play over there. And the only thing I'm worried about Glenbard West, I just don't want them to look past their first round game. That's the only thing, because I know they're gearing up for Wheaton South. They're like, oh, we're gonna get to play Wheaton South. We're gonna get to beat them, show them we're better than them.
Certainly, Lions probably helped Glenbard West out there. With the wake up call.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's got to be. It's got to be a team like Glenbard West who's got a Tommy Shutt. You got to put some pressure on O'Toole. Hit O'Toole. Knock him down.
You have to. Because you can't give him all that time. He's picking them apart.
In all the games I've been to, I never really remember being like, ooh, O'Toole looks real uncomfortable.
Yeah.
The couple times a game that there is a rush, he's got the enough pocket presence. He steps up, or he knows when to scramble. I mean, he's not the fastest guy, but he sees the field so well that when he does take off, it's almost always a first down, because he doesn't take off unless he sees that he's got a lot of space.
And if you're not getting any pressure on that quarterback, that's game over. I mean, that's game over right there.
And that's why I picked Glenbard North, because their D had been playing so good.
That's what I thought, yeah.
They might be able to get some pressure on him. They'll probably, get some big hits on some receivers, some running backs. But, 49 points on Glenbard North.
Yeah.
That's like more points they let up the entire season.
Yeah, exactly.
Glenbard North was constantly, beating good teams like Naperville Norris and the Wheaton Norris with their defense, and they just had no answer for O'Toole and company. And so it'll certainly be interesting to see if any team can keep Wheaton South from scoring into the high 30s. I mean, again, like I mentioned, Hisdale Central is the only team on their schedule to catch them under 30. So maybe people need to put that game tape in and figure out what they did there.
I mean, that also could have been the beginning of the year.
Certainly
get your things.
Breaking it in.
But I'm telling you, Wheaton South has a lot. There's a lot of people that are saying, I mean, Glenbard West from last year in the final game, East, they put a beating on East St. Louis. They won a piece of them. Yep. There's several teams that won a piece of Wheaton South. So, talk about being the underdog and being the team on top. It's always, it's easier to be the underdog and go beat the on top team. So, but Wheaton South has really good coaching, and that's why I think their head hasn't, swollen.
You haven't got a big head, yeah.
Yeah, and I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, and certainly if they make that state title game, which I picked Wheaton to win the whole thing, but I mean, it's not going to be any cakewalk, because there's 3 pretty good teams with a Simeon, a St. Rita, and a Carmel over on the other side.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be no cakewalk regardless of how far Wheaton South goes, but certainly one of, if not the favorite to win it all in 7A, even though Mr. Seals likes Carmel, who we will talk about later. And that'll wrap it up for our Wheaton Warrenville South playoff preview. Be sure to tune in next time for playoff preview team number 5.